request for a pride flag at the Bronx Victory Memorial on Mosholu Parkway, and we have Armando Ramos presenting, better known to us as AJ. Okay, you're on.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. If can staff just pull up the slides for me, please? Thank you so much. Hello, CB7. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Armando AJ Ramos. I am a lifelong CB7 resident, and I'm here tonight requesting that pride flags be installed here on Mosholu Parkway's Bronx Victory Memorial during Pride Month or June in honor of the Bronx and CB7's often forgotten LGBTQIA+ community. Next slide, please. This brings us to the almost 135-year-old Mosholu Parkway, which was acquired with the New Parks Act of 1884, with the New York Botanical Gardens and the nationally landmarked 52nd Police Precinct around the corner on Webster. The Bronx Victory Memorial is often overlooked for its neighbors, especially seeing how half of it is currently missing, with the Liberty trees that once lined it in honor of the soldiers who died for it in the wars being chopped down by a bad DOT contractor in the 1980s. Next slide, please. That brings us to Mr. Ronald Jacobowitz, for whom East Mosholu Parkway North and Kossuth, right next to MS 80, is named after. Mr. Jacobowitz was a pivotal figure in the 1980s and 1990s LGBT+ movement here in the Bronx and the city at large. And in 1996, a year after his untimely death, the street was renamed in his honor. 3202 Kossuth Avenue was even listed recently on the New York City LGBT Historic Sites Project for its cultural significance due to Mr. Jacobowitz's legacy. Next slide, please. Mr. Jacobowitz held a historic city council candidate forum on June 17, 1993, to which the 30th anniversary is fast approaching, and whose dream came true with Richie Torres, but we'll get onto that later. His papers, which provide insight into all the activism and thoughts of the era, are even archived at the New York Public Library for use by all. Next slide, please. That brings us to Mr. Richie Torres, who has now served the CB7 district twice, first with his historic win in the 15th district for city council, and now is the newly redistricted representative of the 15th congressional district. He has gone on the record about how hard having the weight of history on him is, as in the Democratic primary for the 15th congressional district, he faced off against fellow city council member Ruben Diaz Sr., a Pentecostal minister who has referred to gay people as cursed. As a state senator, Diaz voted against legalizing same-sex marriage in 2009, 2011, and in 2017, he helped kill a transgender rights bill in committee. In 2019, Diaz complained that the city council, which had only 5 LGBTQ members at the time, was controlled by the homosexual community. And in 2019, Mr. Torres said on the record, this has made the experience for running for public office more terrifying. Next slide, please. That brings us to Bronx veteran and the most famous person in the world in the 1950s, Christine Jorgensen. Miss Jorgensen is credited as helping to bring the term transsexual, now transgender, into the American vocabulary with her groundbreaking XGI Becomes Blonde Beauty media blitz. And although not from the CB7 district, her military service during World War II and trailblazing for the community and country at large will also be honored with this request. Next slide, please. This brings us to the now repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. In 1994, the US adopted Don't Ask, Don't Tell as the official federal policy of military service by lesbian, gay, and bisexual individuals. This rule was discrimination in its purest form and prevented service members from being openly queer without the threat of being discharged. Don't Ask, Don't Tell was based on the false assumption that the presence of LGBTQ+ individuals in any branch of the military will undermine the ability of the people to carry out their duties. Over the course of the policy's life, thousands of brave service members were discharged simply for who they were and whom they love. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you. This is why we must remember our past and history so that we don't repeat it. Is it not cruel to let our city die by degrees, stripped of all her proud monuments until there would be nothing left of all her history and beauty to inspire our children? If they are not inspired by the past of our city, where will they find the strength to fight for her future? a message that former First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis embraced when she advocated against the destruction of Grand Central in the 1970s, and still relevant here with this request, as if we don't care about our past, we can't have very much hope for our future. Next slide, please. That brings us to ACT UP, the groundbreaking movement of social activism that arose from the AIDS crisis and government inaction. These brave souls put their bodies on the line as the government stood by and watched them die. From protesting the church to throwing ashes of the dead onto the White House lawn in peaceful, nonviolent protest, they walked so we can run. Next slide, please. Back here on the Parkway, the Bronx Victory Memorial itself is almost 100 years old and serves as a deeply moving tribute to those who died in the service of their country in the war to end all wars. One soldier, helpless, lies on his side, while the other stands in position to defend his wounded comrade. At the feet of the alert soldier is the bald eagle, a symbol of strength, protection, and a call to arms, as well as a symbol of our nation. It was built to commemorate the many soldiers from the Bronx who sacrificed their lives for the United States during World War I. Excuse me. The Bronx Victory Memorial Association formed shortly after the war and decided to have this statue built as a primary to the Bronx Victory Memorial Monument located at Pelham Bay. Trees were set aligned from the monuments to represent each life that had been taken in the war. And as I mentioned before, those were chopped down. And then the sacrifice of the soldiers who participated in the war, but this monument also conceals the suffering and struggles of veterans returning home, an issue many veterans still relate with today. Next slide, please. Here's some recent reporting on a campaign by Mayor Eric Adams, to which he is quoted as saying, Florida's Don't Say Gay bill is the latest shameful extremist culture war targeting the LGBTQ+ community. Today, we say to families living in fear of the state-sponsored discrimination that you will always have a home in New York City. Next slide, please. And here's some reporting on Governor Hochul's proclamation of 2022 that for the first time in New York State, the progressive pride flag will be flown at state parks across New York, including State Capitol Plaza and the Governor's Mansion. Pride Month is a time to celebrate the countless contributions of the LGBTQ+ community to New York State, Governor Hochul said. Every New Yorker, regardless of gender and sexual identity or expression, deserves a government that recognizes them for who they are and provides a space of value, love, and belonging. My administration will continue to fight to help ensure equality and respect for the LGBT+ community. Next slide, please. That brings us to President Biden's 2022 Respect for Marriage Act, where he said, the road for the movement has been long, but those who believe in equality and justice, you never gave up. As he signed legislation that provides federal protections for same-sex and interracial marriages into law. Next slide, please. Even overseas at our embassies, we fly pride flags in solidarity. And under the Obama administration, all US embassies received permission to hoist rainbow flags during the month-long celebration. So why not back here at home? Next slide, please. Here are some photographs of various landmarks embracing the LGBT communities they serve, including the White House, One World Trade Center, Empire State Building, and Niagara Falls. Next slide, please. And more landmarks and locations embracing this diversity, including Cinderella's Castle in Florida, the US Embassy in New Delhi, India, the Alamo in Texas, and the Town Hall of Tel Aviv, Israel. Next slide, please. As to not forget the many brave Americans who have fought over the years for our unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and no taxation without representation, this request will also honor CB7's own Calvin Klein, 81st Assembly District Leader Ramdat Singh, Ronald Jacobowitz, and Richie Torres. Next slide, please. Cardi B, Monet Exchange, Manila Luzon, whose grandma lived on the concourse, and Miss Candy Muse with all her ties to Bedford Park. Next slide, please. Artist Andy Warhol and Keith Haring, creative genius Klaus Nomi, first openly gay Speaker of the City Council Christine Quinn, as well as the first non-binary City Council candidate Marty Gould Cummings, Ed Koch, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, and Abraham Lincoln. It's in the sources. You could check the link later. Next slide, please. This heartbreaking 2013 article from Fordham University student paper, The Fordham Ram, highlights how many of the students and academics that come to the Rose Hill campus identify as LGBT, but are uncomfortable about being out in the Bronx and off campus, going as far to go on the record to say they were afraid to hold hands. Next slide, please. And this is why it's so crucial to start representing the people of the district, as the Progress Pride flag symbolizes all they have fought for and helps guide us forward, with its white, pink, and blue representing the trans community, black and brown representing the communities and people of color so often ignored, red representing life, orange healing, yellow new ideas, green prosperity, blue serenity, and violet spirit. Next slide, please. Lastly, here's some references and extra resources to the LGBTQ plus related information and materials, including links from the CDC on the life-saving and game-changing medications PrEP and PEP. This request mirrors the board's recently enacted Veterans Flagging event at the Bronx Victory Memorial, but will simply take place on the flagpole behind it for all of Pride Month or June. Seeing as the board currently has no LGBT plus committee, services, or programs, I believe the board can manage to cover the costs of this in perpetuity, just like the holiday tree lighting and other yearly events hosted by them. Thank you so much for listening and having me today. I provided the board with the slides that include links and all my citations to sources if anybody would like to review and study them. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, AJ, for your very comprehensive presentation. We'll open it up to questions from the committee. Questions, statements. All right, I would only say that my concern is not so much about, well, not at all about having the flag hanging someplace in our district, but the site chosen, because basically it is a war memorial. And I feel strongly that if we say yes to this group, we're going to get many other groups who would like to also raise the flag at the site. Currently, we have an American flag at the monument. We have the New York City flag. We have the Parks Department flag, and we have the Black Missing in Action flag for those who were lost in action and never found. And my feeling is, again, if we say yes to the Pride flag, we are going to get many, many more groups that would like to hang their flag at that particular monument. So from my
Yes,
point,
ma'am.
I would, help you locate another site in the area. And I see a hand up there, so.
Can I respond to you really quick?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
believe the Parks Department, they have a flagpole in front of theirs, the one right off of Bronx River Parkway. They put a Pride flag there. They just moved them down. It wasn't an issue. And as I've been to Pride marches down in the city, there's Pride flags everywhere, especially with the don't ask, don't tell connection. I understand where you're coming from, but I believe that there is a military tie to this. But thank you so much for your comment.
Okay, but that's why I said, I would help you find another site, but I don't think the site should be the War Memorial, because I have a feeling that this will open a can of worms for many other groups. And I think we need to.
Yes, ma'am. I asked the 5-2. They said the same thing, that if we did it for you, we'd have to do it for everybody. But as the board and the 5-2 does serve everybody, I said, why not? Why not put them all up there? But thank you so much.
Okay, I see a hand. Chad, go ahead.
Yes, hi. AJ, wonderful presentation, by the way. I just wanted to mention, full disclosure, I'm not a U.S. veteran, but I have family members who are veterans. So I cannot speak as to how a veteran would feel about it. I know it's a it's something that draws a lot of opinions, but have you thought of an area at the monuments where the flags were to be placed?
The flagpole, I don't know if you can see my background, there's a flagpole right behind me. The trees usually grab the flag during the summer. And a lot of people don't know it. The board only recently started doing events at this memorial as well. And as memorials are for the dead, especially with the dead with AIDS, I think it's a great way to represent the neighborhood. There's a couple of boxes to check. But yeah, this pole right behind me right here, sir.
Okay. I just wanted to find out. Thank you.
All right, any other comments, suggestions, whatever? I would almost suggest that since the person you mentioned, Ronald Jacobowitz, lived on, is it Kossuth Avenue and 2/8 Street? I passed the area the other day. I saw the nice secondary street sign that was put up in his honor. And it is like a half a block from Kossuth Playground. I'm not sure at this point whether there is a flagpole at Kossuth Playground, but that may be something we could look into. All right, I see a hand. Go ahead, Toby, and then Syria.
I wanted to say the presentation was very good and it was comprehensive. I also wanted to point out that it might not be a bad idea to adopt adding flags, as there is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. There's also Pancreatic Cancer Month, Breast Cancer Month. There's also February. I don't think that it will necessarily be a bad thing if we did add flags. I know that it is going to open up the idea of multiple flaggings, but given the state of our America today and the division that is happening all over the United States and these senseless killings, it might be a great thing to show compassion for all of us. So I am just putting it out there while saying that I recognize that this could become a flagging for multiple people. I'm saying, as a member of Community Board 7, I would be okay with that because this community represents all of us.
Yes, ma'am. I also believe this is the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs meeting. There's not many cultural affairs events. I say embrace us all, just like Mosholu. These people fought for our rights. We kicked them out for loving people, just like the monument, honor them. But I understand everything so much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Sirio, I see a hand. Go ahead.
It's an excellent presentation, but I have to speak on behalf of my grandfather. My grandfather fought in that war, and he did not take into any consideration anything but freedom for people. And to deviate from anything that's not military or World War I related at that location would not be a great idea. I'm not against the flag. We should have a location for where everybody's flag could go up. Like Toby said, yeah, every month we should be honoring everything that we need, but then there's always somebody excluded out. Now, in all fairness, we don't want the Nazi party coming in here, and we don't want the Ku Klux Klan wanting to fly their flags. Okay, so we got to draw a line somewhere. And I'm not saying that the pride flag is where the line should be, but I know that my grandfather did not fight in that war, thinking about anything else but freedom for Europe from the invading armies that were trying to take it over.
All right, thank you,
My
Sirio.
family's also military. We have some veterans. We have FDNY. I believe they fought for our freedoms to do whatever we want, to come out of free speech, to do anything. These monuments, this one specifically was paid by the citizens, erected by the citizens. It's on the little poster that wasn't there anymore. And as such, I believe it should represent the citizens. The city has approved this in other locations, in my presentation, Eric Adams, Hochul, and Biden, and overseas we do it. So why not on the Parkway? Thank you.
Okay, Malcolm, did you have your hand up?
I did. I thought about it though. I mean, personally, I think it's a great idea. I have family members who are also veterans, and I can tell you, when they were at the Iraq War in Afghanistan, they went there with the premise that they're fighting for everyone. It's interesting because during that time, LGBTQIA rights wasn't, pretty that prominent, but we advanced to a time because of that democracy, because of, the greatness of our nation, that we can see them for their humanity. Personally, I think it'd be a great idea to put that flag there because it represents what they were fighting for. And that was for democracy and our freedom and liberty.
Okay.
I also cite a Bronx veteran, Christine Jorgensen, who was also the most famous person in the world at the time. So there's also references to veterans specifically we can honor with this as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? My concern, again, is not the putting up of the flag, but the fact that we're opening a can of worms for all these other groups. Now, AJ, did you want to put this up for the month of June, or was this a permanent putting up of the flag, or what? did you
Just for
have in mind?
June, and like every year, like the Veterans Flagging event, if you can just keep doing it, similar to the tree lighting, I believe there's a $5,000 budget for that. And the board as of now is under budget, so it's just one flag, take it down, put it up every other year. Thank you.
So in other words, put the flag up for the month of June.
Yes, just like we do at the embassies, just like we do down in the city, everywhere else. Yes, so
Right. Again, I don't know how Parks will react to this. It would go, the request.
I asked Mr. Joe last Pride. He said there was no budget to send it to 7, but 7 never responded till now. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so do we have a motion to bring this to a vote? I think we have a quorum. I'm not sure. Let me see. 1.
Ruth makes a motion to bring this to the vote.
3, 4. We have 4. All right, Ruth, what is the motion?
The motion is to raise or to have an annual event for a pride flag to be raised, potentially at an alternate location within the Norwood community during the month of June.
All right, to have a pride flag raised during the month of June in the Norwood community. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay,
I think the issue amongst the board, and this is not just to quote or whatever, is the actual location. I think if we can find another another location within this community where we can raise this flag, I think that would be a wonderful thing, and it's something we should do annually.
okay. And that would be for the month of June, Pride Month.
Yes.
Right, so
Yes.
the motion will read to have a pride flag raised during the month of June somewhere in Norwood. Am I correct on that?
Yes,
Ruth?
ma'am.
Okay, and do we have a second
Community
for that
Board
motion?
7. It should be for Community Board 7, the whole Community Board, not just
You're
Norwood.
right. You're
All
right.
right, so
Community
we'll
Board
change
7. That's
that to somewhere in CB7.
correct.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, do I have a second for that motion from the committee? Are you there? Well, I will second the motion. Okay, thank you, Ruth.
Barbara, I think there's a question on the board.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Toby. I didn't know whether or not it was a new hand. Go ahead, Toby.
I think what AJ is trying to get us to see is that, and I want to say this positively. I think what he's trying to get us to see that members of the LGBTQAI community fought in our wars.
Right.
So I don't know if putting it in an alternate spot is going to celebrate the community of soldiers that are LGBTQ, and I hope I'm saying it right, AJ.
You are, ma'am. I
alright.
believe you were kicked out. You don't get any of your benefits. You can't go to the VA. I am not a veteran. I don't know any veterans that at the time, but when I graduated high school, you couldn't join the military. You couldn't get married. So to me, it was always like, why would you want to go fight when other people have fought and died for our rights to put these pride flags, to come out here and speak and say what we want, to have our government react and represent us. Thank you.
Okay, I
Toby, I
understand that. However, I had a personal friend in college that was a member of that community. He did not disclose the fact that he was a member of that community, but he fought. So I am thinking to myself, I'm thinking that there are probably other people too. So while I understand we are saying, let's put it in a different area, I'm just saying, is that going to celebrate those folks who had to keep their mouth shut because that's the life they have? And I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying we're right or wrong. I'm just asking us to think about that aspect of it.
Okay, thank you. I have another hand. Eric, go ahead.
Well, I think I thank you AJ, for the presentation, and I would like to ask, would you be okay if the pride flag was flown in a different location in CB7, or are you married to this location?
I do like here, I don't believe Frisch Field still has the flagpole, but I asked for the 5-2. I asked for Oval, Poe Park, any historic building in the district, Vancouver, wherever you guys want to put one. I think we should start representing, but specifically here at the monument, it does play off the monument with the whole veterans and the do not ask, don't tell, and all that other, there's a little bit extra oomph there. Thank you.
Okay, I have another hand. Ruth, go ahead.
So I'm thinking just because Pride is upcoming, I'm thinking if we can, and I'm throwing this to the entire committee and also to MJ because this is his idea, if we could start with a location within CB7 right now so that we can continue to work with the Veterans Committee and see how we can eventually make it an additional location or find a place where they're more comfortable, so on and so forth, but something that they can also be on board with and not miss out on the opportunity to do this sooner than later within the district.
Yes, ma'am. I actually brought it up at the most recent veterans. It's on the YouTube page. There was a lovely discussion. The people from the VA and the other things absolutely embraced it and actually liked this idea. I'm shocked they're not here today. But if you go back on the YouTube channel, the conversations are there and you could reference it. That I did bring it up to the veterans and they actually endorsed it. Thank you.
Okay, Betty, I see a hand up.
Yeah, AJ, great presentation, and I totally support the installation of a pride flag. I don't have any problem that it be done at the memorial, but I wanted to make sure that I understood that it was not, this is not just about LGBTQ plus veterans. This is about celebrating people during Pride Month. So if there's another location, I like the idea that because people enter onto Mosholu Parkway and, you know, it could be seen. I'm wondering where other locations, are you okay if it's somewhere that's, but we want to make sure it's prominent and it's seen. I like the.
I just thought, especially, mirroring the veterans event would be the easiest and not like, it's the same thing just on the flagpole. So I didn't want to make it more complicated than it is. I know the board had some troubles getting a permit for the recent event. It was done in like September, like months later, but just to get all the pieces moving. Yes.
The only other issue I have, or the concern that I have, is being able to, and Barbara, maybe you could address this, is the purchase of the flag under, you know, given how things operate with the city, to be able to do something like this. So I'm just raising that as, you know, to be able to expedite this as quickly as possible if we agree that the flag be installed someplace and that it be prominent. So we're not talking about a little flag, you know.
We would have to purchase the flag.
If the board can't figure it out, I believe they are on the budget. They said in a couple meetings. I will pay for it myself. It's more just a permission. I just don't know what size or logistics, but I would pay for it if nobody else can.
But the problem would be to get a permit, be it from the Parks Department or if we chose another city facility. All right, so that we would have to move on. Eric, I see your hand. Do you have another question or did you forget to take it down?
Oh, I forgot to take it down. Thank you, Barbara.
All right. Right now, the motion reads to have a pride flag raised during June somewhere in CB7. All right, and that was seconded, so we will go to a vote from the committee.
Okay.
Wait, Barbara, can you be a little bit more specific as to say Bronx Community Board 7 to host?
Sorry.
Yes,
Well, that's my abbreviations, but it would read when I write it out, Bronx Community Board 7.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Barbara Stranza votes yes to the motion. Tasha, did she come in? No. Betty, Arcee?
Vote yes on the motion.
Thank you. Daisy Perry was here, but all right, leave that. Gwendolyn is out. Ruth Caraballo?
Vote yes on the motion.
Thank you. And Toby Buford.
Vote yes on the motion.
Okay, the motion carries then. Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
thank you. Okay, thank you again, AJ. All right, I'm going to move the agenda because it's getting late. A request from Armando Ramos, better known as AJ, regarding a pride flag during the month of June to be posted. The committee recommends the raising of a pride flag during the month of June somewhere in Bronx Community Board 7's district. As far as the background, a pioneer for the LGBTQ rights, Ronald Jacobowitz lived within our community board. A secondary street renaming was done in his honor on Kossuth and Mosholu Parkway North. And in honor of Ronald and others who have worked for the LGBTQ rights, it is fitting to honor them during Pride Month. All right. Mr. Jacobowitz lived and worked in our board area. It is also appropriate to honor our fellow citizens and neighbors who may be part of the LGBT community. The flag will be raised during the month of June. We need, as a prior action, we need to first purchase a pride flag and then locate a site and obtain permission from the agency involved. All right, do we have any questions? Can I have a second on that motion?
I second.
Thank you, Betty. All right, any questions? Okay. I see,
Just out of curiosity, is anybody priced out?
is anybody what?
Priced out what needs to be purchased?
Oh, no, not yet. It would be a flag. I don't think it
You
would
would
be.
think that would, I mean, that would have, you would think it would have been researched when the presentation was made, I would think.
Oh,
But
no, I don't think anybody has priced out a flag as yet, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be that expensive for our board. All right. Mr. AJ, we'll give you a minute. Your hand is up and it is AJ who asked for this, so we'll let him say something. Go ahead, AJ.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I was never given the logistics of the size of the flag at the Mosholu Victory Memorial. That's where I requested it be put. I kind of don't want it anywhere else. Bronx Victory means a lot of things to a lot of people, and I think this is the perfect spot. We're not here to beg for scraps. We're here to have our public servants serve us. If I would have been provided the size of this flagpole's flag, I would have researched it. I've offered to even buy it myself. As this is the second year the board is under budget and the third Pride I am asking for this, I don't see why that wouldn't be a problem. Thank you so much.
Okay, just to give you some of the rationale, it was felt that the monument on Mosholu is a monument that was put up many years ago to honor those who fought in our wars and were killed as soldiers or sailors or whatever. And we felt it wouldn't be fitting because of the fact that if we said yes to one group, we would be receiving many requests from other groups to raise their flag at that site. And we felt it would take away from the purpose of the war memorial. So we're not opposed.
Yes, ma'am.
to-
Sorry.
all right, let me finish,
That-
please. We're
Yes, ma'am.
not opposed to purchasing a flag and finding a site. That was our position as the board to raise it during the month of June. All right, any questions or comments that anybody would like?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. I specifically in my slides referenced Don't Ask, Don't Tell, where service members were kicked out from being LGBT or loving people. I also referenced Bronx veterans. There was a ultra sensitivity with this location, and that's why I believe it should be there. I would prefer the board vote up or down on this. If not, we don't want it anywhere else. Thank you.
Okay, all right. If there are no other questions, we will take this to a vote.
Wait a minute. I don't know, Barbara, before
Yeah.
you continue, I do, I I support the motion for the flag, but I also think that its location is important, and I support that it be at the memorial. That's my position on that.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right, well, then you'll express your position when we take the vote. Any other comments before we move on?
So we're still voting on the motion as
We're
presented.
voting on the motion to purchase the flag and to fly the flag somewhere in Community Board 7 during the month of June. That's the motion.
All
All
right.
right?
Thank you
So-
for the clarification.
Okay. All right. Barbara Stranza supports the motion. Eric Asensio.
Erica Census supports the motion.
Thank you. Betty Arce.
I support the motion.
Thank you. Jahira Arias.
Jahira Arias supports the motion.
Thank you. Michelle Avila.
Michelle Avila supports the motion.
Thank you. Andrew Laosa.
Andrew Laosa supports the motion.
Thank you. Luis Acosta.
Lauris Acosta votes yes.
Thank you. Edgar Ramos.
Edgar Ramos abstains.
Okay. Chad Royer.
Chad Roy votes yes.
Thank you. Victor Saldana. Has he come in? And Ruth Caraballo. All right, the motion carries. Thank you. All right, we'll move the agenda.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
I
can
want to
hear you.
speak, sorry, I want to speak about both motions from the public hearing, please. Can I start?
Yes, you can start.
As someone who has sent in numerous complaints and over 30 unanswered freedom of information requests about the prior administration and their ways, Miss Carla is exactly what the board needed. I have full confidence in her leadership and wish her the best in reforming the board and its ways. And then on the second part, my request and presentation was about putting pride flags on the Bronx Victory Memorial. Please don't pervert that and at least vote on that location so I could potentially Article 78 the board's decision and show you how to properly serve the public you voluntarily chose to commit to. As a private citizen, I am not here to beg for scraps or to violate the city charter like certain members of the board and related 501(c)(3)s and groups such as Friends of Mosholu, Friends of DeVoe, and the Bronx Buccaneers regularly do at these meetings. By denying this request at the Bronx Victory Memorial due to it not being military or veterans related, whilst my slides and presentations talk about them and the discrimination they face serving a country, it shows your own implicit biases, reeks of homophobia, and yet again denies the public the right to free speech in our publicly funded spaces and parks, putting your own personal beliefs before ours, the ones you serve. Hence, the courts potentially stepping in to finally put CB7 in its place, ending all the self-dealing, quid pro quos, city charter and bylaw violations, and all the other problematic activities and behaviors exposed and displayed by the board in these meetings, emails, and consequential follow-ups. If not at the Bronx Victory Memorial or at the 52nd Police Station, please keep the pandering gesture to the LGBTQIA+ community to yourself or at a minimum, and simply vote no. The blood is on your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. Just as a follow-up, this conversation could have been had at the committee level. So when the motion was being edited, you could have voiced these concerns. Once it moves out of the committee, getting feedback like this is hard. So I can definitely follow up to see about next steps. But as when the motion was being presented on the floor and being spoken about at the committee level, you agreed to accept the motion as it was presented until.
Yes, ma'am,
you
but
know-
there's still no location selected. We're gonna have to come back and vote again for a location. So please don't forget, we want it here. We don't want it somewhere else. The motion as it stands written does not have a location, potentially delaying this till past Pride. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you for your comment. And Madam Chairperson, this concludes our public hearing session.
From Parks?
Yes, yes. Do we have the motion summary to put up? Otherwise, I'll read what the motion is. The committee recommends the raising of a pride flag during the month of June somewhere in Bronx Community Board 7's district. We received a request from AJ to place a pride flag on the World War I monument on Mosholu Parkway. It was felt that the monument was there to honor the war dead with no concern regarding anybody's race, religion, cultural background, or sexual orientation. We also felt that if we said yes to that particular location, it would result in other groups and organizations wanting to raise their flag. So we felt that the primary goal of the monument is to honor the war dead, but we were not opposed to finding another site for a pride flag. So the motion in itself would mean practically that we purchase as a board a pride flag and find a spot within our district every June to raise that flag. If you look at the motion summary, one of the reasons that AJ wanted the flag raised was to honor a Ronald Jacobowitz who lived in the community and did a lot for LGBTQ rights. The city has placed a secondary street renaming at the corner of Kossuth and Mosholu Parkway North in his honor. So the feeling is if we could find a spot fairly close to where he lived, it would be great. Do we have a second for the motion?
Barbara, I second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions or whatever?
I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I agree with you, Barbara. That would be the proper place to put it.
Okay. There is a playground a block away from that corner. So if there's a flagpole there, perhaps we could get the Parks Department to give us their approval for that site. If not, we will find another site. Any other questions? Lowell, do you have a question?
Yeah. In the motion,
Yes.
I'm a technical type person. Shouldn't it be Mr. AJ with his last name listed?
Why would we?
Instead of,
No,
because
we
you
didn't
just
list
said
his
AJ.
name. He brought the concern to us, but we didn't list his name in the motion
Right.
per se.
Okay, because you said AJ, and I just want to say if he's presented it, but it's not in the minutes of the motion itself, then
No,
his name
no,
is not listed.
no.
Okay, fine.
Okay,
Okay, fine. Not
okay, any other concerns?
Jean?
Yeah, you said that we can't put the flag at the memorial, the World War I memorial, because it might give rise to other groups wanting to put flags there.
Well,
I'm sort of confused about
the
that.
main reason was that we felt the memorial was there to honor the war dead. And we never they never had any concerns about race, religion, sexual orientation. It was for all the war dead.
Okay.
And the feeling was that if we say yes to one group, we may open a can of worms in the future to other groups who may, for other reasons, want to raise a flag at that spot. So we're not opposed to raising the flag. We just felt that we should find a different site.
Are we not making an assumption when we said it was just for World War I veterans and it was just about their service? We don't know what their orientation might have been when they were serving. Of course, they couldn't have said anything back in that day because they could barely say anything in the present day. So I'm just kind of a little off on why we can't put the flag there. I hear what your explanation is, but I don't know if I think I can't agree with that.
Okay. All right,
So
Alfred,
you're saying
you
go
have
look
your hand
for a
up?
spot, but where would the spot be? Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, we have to find a spot. The committee felt it would be nice to do it close to where the street renaming is, where the gentleman lived. So we would have to find a spot within the community board. All right, Alfred, your hand is up.
Yeah, you know, I'm a person like a lot of us here on the board of age. And I come from an age when they frowned on gay rights. But I'm wise enough to shut my mouth and listen. And I do know this. In the army, I know for a fact, there were gay soldiers. And they died fighting for this country. And I understand a lot of bigotry that we have because I come from an age of Black people that were suffering because of the color of our skin. And now I see individuals playing the game like, put that over there. We love them, they're all right, but don't put that flag over here. But you know what? Black, blue, gay, whatever should be putting their flag where the soldiers died for this United States of America. That's all I got to say.
Okay, and again, the only answer I could give to you, then we have to be open to placing a flag for different cultural groups who died, et cetera, at the same monument. All right, next, Betty.
I disagree. I don't think we're going to see groups clamoring to have a Puerto Rican flag or a Dominican flag. I don't think that's LGBTQ. This transcends race. This has to do with the type of discrimination that soldiers who are gay, lesbian encountered and were never able to voice who they were, be who they are, but they died for our country. So I think I disagree. I really think the flag should be at that memorial because it needs to be prominent. It doesn't have to stay up, for the entire time. I mean, it can come down if that's an issue, if that's okay. For Pride Month, it could go up and it can come down, be taken down respectfully and then put up again during Pride Month. But I think that it should be there. That's the fitting place, even though the individual that's cited has a street named after him. This goes beyond him. This is beyond him. This has to do with all the soldiers who had to suffer in silence that way.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Andrew.
Yeah, it's a comment about process and procedure. The motion is what the motion is. Why is the full board discussing the issue of location that's not part of the motion? We should allow this board to allow our committees to do the work. And if people want to partake in making that decision, they could attend the Parks Committee where they'll hash out where to put the flag. But that's not what the motion's about. And we shouldn't be spending the time at 9:36 p.m. discussing location. That's not what the motion is. Please read the motion again. Thank you.
Okay, good point, Andrew. Helene, go ahead.
Well, after what Andrew said, I don't know that my question was, I do think that we should have the flag at the monument, and I don't think that would be an issue, but that is not what the motion says. So I do feel that it's putting it anywhere else in a playground or whatnot is really somewhat disrespectful to the issue. That's my personal feeling, that I don't think we need to worry about other groups. Maybe it needs to be readdressed and maybe we need to rewrite the motion, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
All right, any other questions before we go to a vote? All right, can we
Am I
have-
allowed to speak or?
No, not at this part of the meeting. You were only allowed at the general meeting to speak in the public session.
Do we get the text of the motion?
All right, I'll repeat the motion. The committee recommends the raising of a pride flag during the month of June somewhere in Bronx Community Board 7's district.
And that could theoretically be at the location that,
We're not mentioning a location. The location mentioned is Community Board 7.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, so Barbara, can we adjust the motion to say that the flag can go there? That's why I'm kind of off with it too. Can we
Well,
not redo the
You
motion?
have to turn the motion down and
Okay, we'll
we
turn
would
the
have to
motion
bring
down.
it back to committee or whatever at this point.
So we can turn it down. It can go back to committee. So we can say, put the flag.
But we won't get it done for Pride Month.
Right,
Yes.
but we're not gonna probably get it done for Pride Month anyway, because it's what, a month away, 6 weeks away. And we have to get permission and we have to get the flag and whatever. So it might be for next year.
So
Funny
if
how
we-
that works.
If we approve the motion as it's written,
Right,
can we still not put the flag there?
Yes.
That's basically what I think we're concerned about.
we didn't list the place at this point, so, if
So
somebody.
that could be the place, even though it's
It
not.
could be an option, yes.
Okay, as long as it could be.
But
an
of
option,
course, you
then
realize we would have to get permission, of course, from the agency involved, which is the Parks Department.
Okay, so
that might take a little time, but it's still an option, Jean.
okay, as long as
Okay.
we can put the flag, even though it doesn't specifically state in the motion, and then we can put it wherever we want, and we decide we want to put it there.
Right, and you get
Shouldn't
the
be a problem.
approval from the board, so.
Then we would go back to
there.
the
Right,
Parks Department, and then they would have to sign off.
right,
Okay.
okay. All right, can we have a roll call for the vote?
Right, Betty Arce.
Betty Arce approves the motion.
Sorry. Thank you. Jahida.
Tahira Arias approves the motion.
Emanuela Samoa.
Emmanuel approved the motion.
Thank you. Eric.
Eric Asensio approves the motion.
Thank you. Michelle Avila.
Michelle Avila approves the motion.
Did you say approve?
Yes.
Thank you. Toby Buford.
Toby Buford approves the motion.
Mirna Calderon.
Myrna Calderon abstains.
No, abstains, okay.
Okay, Hugo Gonzalez.
Hugo Gonzalez approves.
Alfred Grant.
Alfred Grant approves.
Lowell Green.
Lowell Green approves the motion.
Helene Carmen Kanowski.
Helene Hartman Kudnowski approves.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. Jean Hill.
Jean Hill approves the motion.
Thank you. Mabar Jewel. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mabar Jewel. Mabar Jewel. Mabar Jewel. Andrew Leosa.
Andrew Leosa approves the motion.
Thank you. Rosalie Leslie. Rosalie Leslie. Rosalie Leslie. Daisy Perry.
Daisy Perry abstained.
Thank you. Edgar Ramos.
Edgar Ramos abstains.
Okay. Helene Red.
Helene Red? Okay. Chevrolet?
Arlene Red, no.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Chevrolet?
Samantha?
Wait, Samantha, no, it's no. She
She
said
said
no.
no.
Oh, no. What does that mean?
No,
No means no, and abstain means that you don't
you're not
approve.
voting.
You're not
You're not
voting.
voting,
Got
yeah.
you. Okay. Chevrolet?
Chad Royer votes yes.
Yes.
Approves, he approves the motion.
Okay. Why y'all?
Oh,
confused?
sorry, Samantha approves.
Why y'all?
Sorry.
It's 9:42, y'all. Come on. Victor Saldana.
Victor Salanya approve.
Okay. Maharani.
Maharani approves.
Okay. Carlos Sosa.
Carlos Sosa approves.
Thank you. I approve. I, Samantha, approve. Barbara?
Barbara Stronzer approves.
Thank you. Oh, Gwendolyn. Adeline Walker Santiago.
Adeline Walker Santiago approves.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jake? Jake Wilson, Helene Wilson? Jake Wilson, Helene Wilson? Going once, going twice. All right. You guys gonna count with me? Okay, we're going on approves, okay?
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 19. 19, y'all, for approve. All right. Abstain, 1. Two, 3. 3 abstains? Did I do that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I got 1 no.
Correct.
Okay,
Motion passes.
okay. Thank you for doing the math. I will stop sharing.
Thank you, Samantha.
Okay.
I have a question from a parliamentary point of view. Is there any way when we're taking a vote and you see they have been present for other votes, is there any way that we know they left the floor